Coach James Vilade, former pro and college coach.
Let's take it back to the start. Let's take it back to the start of your coaching career here. You were a college head coach for a decade. You started both programs at obviously University of Dallas and UT Tyler. Second most winningest college baseball coach in the state of Texas of all time. For any new coaches attending today, talk about, challenges you faced in starting a new program, becoming a new head coach, implementing culture, getting the right people on the bus to allow you to be one of the winningest college baseball coaches in history.
One of the main things, and you just hit on it, was building a winning culture. How you go about your business, how you go about your daily work, how you function together as a team, the mutual respect that you have for each other, and then what the overall goal is. And for me as a head coach, I wanted our kids to become great people, great men, great leaders. But we also wanted to win baseball games, but we didn't sacrifice one for the other. So I think in building two programs from zero, that's something that you never dream of having the opportunity to do. But in having done it twice, it comes down to your culture and what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and how you're going to implement it. And for me, it was a lot of discipline.
I mean, culture, obviously, we're big on culture. I think a lot of the coaches in attendance today would preach on culture as well. There's coaches in this world, there's managers, there's leaders of men. And obviously, in my opinion, success isn't by accident. Talk about, core beliefs that you have as a coach, the pillars of your successful teams and what they were built on, ultimately to have the success you've had as a head coach.
I was asked about my experience as a head coach one time, and someone said, what was it like? And I said, it really felt like I coached one team the entire time. Like the teams never really changed. And I think the one thing that is one of my core values is something that goes back to what my mom told me before I started coaching. And she wasn't really into sports, but she was a teacher. And she said, you're coaching other people's children. Don't ever forget that. And to me, that really hit home. Like, yeah, I'm out there with somebody else's child, and I always have to respect that. And I think the biggest thing for me is I wanted their trust. I wanted them to trust me.
For sure.
We were always going to have a plan. We were always going to have, great practices to run. We were prepared. We spent time on it. Our staffs really grinded on making great workouts and great challenges. And, at the end of my college career, I spent 11 years as a head coach, but I coached 16 in college baseball and had played for 14 championships in 16 years. It was an amazing run.
I've always said, for me, the game of baseball teaches so many lessons, and we use the game of baseball to be that vehicle for us. So talk about that on what the game can be applied to the players that these coaches have, whether it's discipline, work ethic, all the things that can be applied in that regard to the players that these guys have.
The biggest thing that you can push towards the players on a daily basis is perseverance. Mm-hmm. And also challenge. I mean, you have to challenge them to be disciplined. You have to challenge them to be focused, but you have to challenge them to persevere because, if you give up or you quit, you got your answer. And one of the greatest stories I have as a college coach is coming back from 3 runs down in the conference finals to win a game. And we were down to our last strike 7 times.
Wow.
We were down to our last strike 7 times. Odds are you're never going to win that game. But I think the perseverance our kids had to fight and say, hey, just win the pitch. Not to sound cliche-ish, but like everybody just really buying into, hey, win the pitch, win the moment, take care of each other. And the one thing I found out over time is the perseverance side. All of those little things added up to really big results. They really did.
Another thing for me too is on top of that, and that's great stuff, learning how to fail. Obviously this is a game of failure. People talk about it all the time. You get out 7 times out of 10, you hit 300, you're in the Hall of Fame at the highest level there is. So, kids, from the 7, 8-year-olds in the world that are just getting a start in this game, all the way to the guys that you're evaluating now, as a scout, learning how to fail and, like you said, persevering.
One of the big things that I try to get across is, with the teams that I coached and even in professional baseball, was helping players identify what success is.
Mm-hmm.
And, you were on the pitching side of it and you played professionally and you understand. I mean, you could not have a great outing, but if you really peel back the layers and say, hey man, you had 14 first pitch strikes,
Right.
you threw your off speed pitches for 74% strikes. You have to be able to pull positives because it is a tough game. It is a challenging game. But for me, one of the things that I've been big on is helping our teams identify when we have success, the little things, a quality at bat, moving a runner. We were celebrating those little wins to get the big win. And when our guys bought into that, guys stopped looking at stats and they stopped chasing, a home run number. And I remember one time we had a guy that was a big stat chaser, and we sat down and had a long talk about it. And I said, it's not the way to play the game. And the next year he hit less home runs, but he was a 17th round draft pick because the other numbers started to show up and his game started to balance out. And it's hard to understand, but if you build that into your daily culture of what success is, it'll be identified in the games. And that's going to take pressure off the coach. That's going to take pressure off the manager. Because when the kids can respond to that before you have to say, hey, that was good, they've got to know it before you do. That's you teaching them.
That's great. That's great.
Thanks for being with us at VBA. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. See you next time.